that's like 50 to 80% of people with ADHD will respond positively to tryptophan, but that doesn't mean that that's you. And it doesn't mean that that's the only one you need for the ADD ADHD.
Welcome to Take Back My Brain with Laurie Hammer, where real healing starts in the brain. I'm Laurie, a functional nutritionist and mom who's walked the path from anxiety and burnout to clarity and calm. Each week, we're going to dive into brain-based tools like amino acid therapy, gut health, fasting, and faith to help you reclaim your energy, emotions, and sense of self. Hey everyone, welcome back again. I've got our special guest today. Dr. Chris Molda is back with us today. We're going to continue talking about amino acid therapy. And I really wanted to dive in today, trialing of the amino acids, because I've had some questions and stuff about those. So how do we know what your brain is actually missing? So Dr. Chris and I firmly believe that we don't want to guess. So we want to trial and we want to listen to the body. So thank you, Chris, for being on again.
Yeah, I love this. I'm going to ask you the most common question that I get from clients
All right.
about trialing. You ready for it?
Yep, ready.
Well, isn't there like a blood test or a urine test or a stool test that I can do to figure this out instead of trialing?
Well, there are those tests, yeah, but they're not as effective. And so trialing is actually the most real time. It's the easiest, and it really doesn't cost you anything to do it. So the blood test, I've had people do that a lot over the years, or the urine testing, and it just doesn't always match what's going on in their body. And so I have found like the symptom chart that I use and the trialing kit that I send to people is the most effective and easiest for people to do.
I mean, you've seen people with low serotonin in a test.
Yeah.
Or I should say it the other way, normal serotonin in a test, but still need amino acid support for
Yeah.
serotonin.
Exactly. And so then you as a practitioner are missing it, or you as the client are like, oh, that practitioner missed it for me. I'm still anxious. I'm still depressed. Where if we would have just trialed the amino acids to start with, open up the capsule, put it under the tongue, stare at each other awkwardly for 2 minutes, and then like, hey, do you notice something different cognitively, emotionally, or physically? And they'll be like, yeah, I do. I don't feel as anxious and depressed more. Right. So, I mean, that's the goal. And then if they don't respond to it, they don't respond to it. We can move on. But you can have normal blood work, and this is so true for how many things, right? Your blood work is normal, and you still feel crappy. You're still anxious. You're still depressed. You still have OCD. You're still overwhelmed. Well, let's try the amino acid therapy. Let's do the trialing process because it's such fast feedback. And then you, as the person, putting the amino acids under your tongue, you can go, my gosh, this therapy actually works. So it actually works. So you don't have to guess. And then you can just, use it as therapy.
Yeah. And to be, that's okay. And to be honest, most of these lab tests have been designed for pathology, right?
Right.
And so they're not sensitive. They're not built to be sensitive enough to see those fluctuations that we see with the trialing. And at the end of the day, the reason why the trialing I think is more effective is because it bypasses a quote unquote diagnosis. And if we just simply look at it as, hey, what supplements do you need? Then, and not focus on, do I have this diagnosis or that? It's like we're really quickly finding out what you respond to. And that's really what matters. We don't need to put a name to this. We don't need you to start identifying with a certain symptom or diagnosis. We just need you to get better. And it's the quickest, easiest way, I think, to do that.
Well, and I think you really bring up that good point. Like you just don't need that diagnosis. All we need to do is just fix the deficiency, right?
Right.
If you have the symptom, we're going to fix the deficiency, and then we're going to get to the underlying cause because we want you to feel better fast, right? And so, we go through the different neurotransmitter types. You want to talk about them, Chris? Should we talk about the four neurotransmitters?
I was actually so what I was thinking maybe we could do is just kind of talk about the experience, what it's like to be a patient who gets it. So like for me, what I do, and you probably do the same thing, is I put four of each of the different amino acid supplements in little plastic bags.
Yep.
And then
like this, people, just like this.
Just like that right there. Perfect. And then I put a couple of handouts in there. and
Yeah.
then I mail it to them in like a little manila envelope. And then they get that a couple days before we do the trial so they can read about it. The handouts, kind of prep them for what to expect, the questions we're going to ask, have some water with you, maybe have a trash can because you're going to be dumping out pills everywhere and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And I'm assuming you do something very
I
similar.
do. Yeah, I do similar. I send out a little kit, like here's my little box, the Calm Mom box. Yeah. So yeah, I sent out a little kit, same thing with instructions and everything is labeled and it's just so much
And
fun. I get excited. It's like Christmas to me every time I do a trialing with somebody because I'm like, oh, I can't wait to see how they respond. They're going to feel so much better.
right. And they will have filled out paperwork. They will have
Yes.
filled out your questionnaires, right?
Yep.
So there's Lori has a questionnaire and I do too, but it's Lori's questionnaire. That will help us understand low serotonin symptoms, low GABA symptoms, uh,
Low catecholamines, low
low
endorphin.
yeah,
Yeah.
and then like blood sugar issues.
Yeah, exactly. So you're like, what are those symptoms? So if we're talking serotonin, this is going to be like your anxiety, depression, worry, ruminating thoughts, low self esteem, sleep disruption, fibromyalgia. Yes, fibromyalgia is very linked to a serotonin deficiency. All of you out there who've been diagnosed with that. And so those are serotonin. If we're talking GABA, that's going to be more of like you can't take a deep breath. You're like feel like your shoulders are stuck to your ears. It's very physical, where serotonin is more emotional. GABA is
Very
like a lot of muscle tension.
and I would say panic disorder too.
Definitely, yeah, yeah. And then we're talking catecholamines. This is where you got the low motivation, low focus, kind of low mental energy, ADD, ADHD. So this really affects like those dopamine
Catecho
receptors.
Catecholamines are interesting to me because they it's the ADD ADHD, but it's also I know you use EOR for serotonin. I use EOR for catecholamines because it's like whatever, it's all gonna suck in.
That is so true, right? Yeah.
Why do I even try? Like that's the apathetic depression of low catecholamines. Like you just don't feel like trying anymore because what's the point?
Yeah. Yeah. Life is going to suck no matter what you do.
Right. Yeah. Which is not true, but you
Right.
get stuck in the mud, right? And I have felt that. I have 100% felt that with low catecholamines. And so
Yeah.
um
Well, and then our fourth area is we have the endorphins, which is like you're overly emotionally sensitive, like really sensitive to criticism, those kind of things. You're the person who's very physically like pain receptor sensitive. Like you stub your toe and you feel it all the way up to your head. Whereas, if like I stub my toe, I'd be like, oof, that hurts. Like there's just huge
mhm.
response going on in your body and you are craving comfort from lots of things, whether it's food, exercise, pornography, other addictions. That's when we know that your endorphins are really low.
Yeah. I'm sure the most common example of that is that workout warrior, the person who's
Yeah.
like, if I don't work out 5 days a week, I just feel like junk.
Yep.
I mean, that's a pretty good indication that they're living off endorphins. And I don't know when we talked about it, but it's like amino acids are a great tool, are a
Mhm.
very quick tool for restoring these neurotransmitters. But there are also diet and lifestyle
Yeah,
things that you can do to support neurotransmitters too, right? It doesn't
exactly.
have to be a pill, right? But
Right.
pills are the quickest way for us to restore a deficiency, which is why we love using them and why they're so critical for people who are stuck.
Right. And it gets you to the point where then you can also make those lifestyle changes. Because if you are super anxious, super depressed, super overwhelmed, you know, you can't keep a thought process. You're like
Right.
bouncing 17 different ways. The amino acids help you to overcome those things so that you can make the lifestyle changes so that you don't have those deficiencies anymore. And then you just use the amino acids when you need them. Like, if somebody dies in your family, like when my mom died a couple of years ago, I needed the amino acids for a little bit because I was just overcome with grief. And they helped me to navigate the thought processes and everything going on with that grief process. So I love it because you can just teach people how to use them as tools. And I'll get emails from clients like, hey, just want you to know I was using the amino acids again because, XYZ happened in my life. I was in
Mhm.
a car accident or whatever happened. And they were so helpful. Thank you so much, for
Yeah.
introducing me to them because it's just tiny pieces that make up proteins. And proteins are what heal our body
And our brain.
and our brain. Yes. Yeah.
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 And so I love the trialing process because, and it is beautiful too, because, you, the person, receiving it, like, oh, okay, this changes me. But then you can also decide, like, if somebody's in a panic attack and you can open up that capsule, put that specific nutrient underneath their brain, whether it's tyrosine, GABA, serotonin, whatever they're needing, within 5 minutes, that panic attack is going to go away,
Hmm.
which is
Very quickly.
amazing, very
Very quickly.
quickly. Or if you're an intense, like, we'll use alcohol, for instance, if you have that craving or even a food craving, glutamine is amazing, or GABA, to cut those cravings down. Like, glutamine's been proven within 5 minutes to cut those sugar cravings. And so then you're not going to go after something that's harmful to your body. So you can use these for like emergency situations as well as we're rebuilding everything else.
Yeah. Yeah. So how long do you think a trial usually takes for you?
I usually schedule like an hour and a half.
Yeah.
Yeah, then I get a good health history with everybody, and then it gives us time to trial the amino acids and kind of talk through things.
Yeah. A lot of it's conversational. You're not
A
just
lot of it
taking
is,
supplements.
yeah. Yeah.
You're not popping supplements for an hour and a half.
Oh goodness, no. No. And they, some of them don't taste good, let's just be really honest, but
Hmm.
I've never had anybody throw up. And so, I've been doing this a really long time. And so everybody's able to do it. If you have kids, most kids can do a little bit of it depending on their age. And so we just navigate, if they're not able to, but certainly all you adults out there can do the trialing process for sure.
Yeah. And it's nice, I mean, you can trial anybody. I mean, like you said, I've trialed little kids. I've trialed my girls and stuff like that. It's a great experience for everybody. I've found personally it works great if they're married and their spouse is there just watching.
Yes, I love that. I love that.
Yeah,
Yeah. Because
because
it's
you
so
get that.
nice to have somebody observing, because sometimes you yourself are a little bit nervous or scared. Like, what if I say the wrong thing? How people like, I don't know what I'm supposed to feel. And we're not going to tell you what you're probably going to
Mm-mm.
feel, because I'm not going to plant anything in your brain. I want it to be as raw and natural as possible, because part of this process is learning how to know your own body again, because we've become so disconnected. And so I love the trialing, because I feel like it's a beginning piece for a lot of people. And then when you have your spouse or a friend, with you, and they can be I don't know what I'm feeling yet. I feel something different, but I don't know what it is. Your spouse can say, well, she stopped shaking her leg, or,
Yeah,
they just sat back in their chair. And I love it when all of a sudden you're like, well, I think I think I feel happy, and they get kind of like giggly in the
yeah,
moment, which is so
yeah,
fun. Like, what did you just do to me?
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. It's great to see people's reactions. For the person, for the people who are afraid and hesitant, right? What's the worst reaction you've ever seen?
Hey, friend, just a quick break to remind you, if calming your brain is the missing piece in your practice or in your home, my Mind Thrive certification course teaches you exactly how to do that with targeted amino acid therapy. So it's real science, real results, no band aids. Enrollment is now open. Link is in the show notes. So back to the show. Somebody got a
Negative.
headache that
Yeah,
lasted, 10 minutes.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I mean, I've seen people just say things like, "Oh, I don't like that," and I'm
Yeah.
like, "Why?" And they're like, "I don't know why. I just
I just
don't.
don't like it.
I
I
just don't
mean,
like it." And that's a real answer, you
yeah.
know. The first time we did amino acid trials with me, it's like the one that I liked, tyrosine, like I loved it, and I couldn't even tell you why. I was like, I have no idea, but I like it, and I think I want another one. And you're like, well,
Right.
then you should try another one. And I tried another one. I'm like, I think I like that even more now. But I couldn't tell you why I liked it. Because I didn't know what like relaxed felt like. I didn't
Yeah.
know what my mind was racing. I didn't know what my mind calming down felt like. I had
Hmm.
no reference for it. I had no reference for normal being not having to just like and speak every thought and get rid of everything. I didn't realize I didn't have to do that. And so I didn't know what that felt like. And I didn't
Yeah.
realize that that was normal. And a lot of
Right.
people struggle with that. But there really isn't a lot of like, I've had people ask me, will this upset my stomach?
Yeah.
Right.
But some people feel like, a little bit after we've done like 6 of them, they're like,
Hmm.
I think my stomach doesn't feel very good. But that's really rare.
That's
Really,
so
really
rare.
rare. So
So
rare.
rare.
So, Chris, I have to ask, what
Mhm.
happens if you just try an amino acid and you don't trial it? Throwing it out
Right.
there.
That's okay. That's okay. Because when me and Laurie first met, I was hesitant to trial because I was nervous about sitting in with somebody trialing something and my anxiety was so high. I was like, I'm going to have like an anxiety attack in front of her and I don't want to do that because
Yeah.
this is so stressful. So I just know because I've learned about tryptophan, I know I need tryptophan and I know I need a lot of it. So I started to take just tryptophan. And I started with one, and then I took two, and then I took three, and then I took four, and I was taking like four tryptophan maybe once or twice a day. And after about a week of doing that, I was sitting in my office and I could hear my two girls playing in the other room right next door to me. And they were literally giggling and playing and having a good time. And I was sitting there going like, oh my gosh, they're so annoying. I mean, this is just awful. Like I'm gonna go punish them and stuff. And I at least had the wherewithal to be like, wait a minute, they're just having a good time. What's wrong with me? Why am I so angry? Like this is I don't know what's going on. And so I went out and I saw my wife and I talked to my wife and I was like, I think I think I'm just angry for no reason. And she goes, yeah, you should call Laurie. And I said, okay. So I got on a call with you, Laurie, a Zoom call, and I was kind of telling you about the experience, and I was like, yeah, I think I'm just like angry for no reason. And my wife was listening, and she's like, he has been for like a week now. And you said, well, what are you doing? And I said, well, I'm taking like four tryptophan. And your question was, well, how did you react when we trialed it? And I said, well, we didn't try it. And you said, well, why don't you stop it? And then like trial things. And so I stopped it, and that was it. The anger was gone. It was
Right?
just
Because you
gone.
didn't need it.
Right. So it turns out that if you supplement, and this happens a lot with people once they get on the protocol, like once you find, right, what amino acid you need, as you go on, as you keep taking it, you won't need it as much. And when you don't need it, it's not uncommon for you start to feel more symptomatic because you just don't need it, right?
Right.
And that's a good indication that you don't need it anymore. And I just learned that the hard way. And so then we did the trial and I found out I didn't need it.
Didn't need that one.
I didn't need that one. And I like for me, it was at the time, it was, I really only needed like one. I really needed only like two different supplements and
Right.
that was it. And that kind of got me where I needed to be stable wise. And to be honest, at that point, I didn't know my protocol for the gut. And like, I was still learning, I was still
Right.
doing deep dives into the gut and different things like that. And so I still needed to do a little bit more digging with reducing inflammation and getting rid of these hidden toxins. But yeah, that was my experience of just like, I'll just try it and see what happens.
Right. So that's why the trialing is so important. Right.
Yes.
So if
Yes.
you're a person listening out there like, oh, I'll just go try some of these, right? I mean, you can, but
You
you may
definitely
not
can.
have a good experience. And then you're like, oh, this doesn't work. When in fact, it actually does work. And I've had people where literally we'll just take like a sprinkle of the amino acids and put it in a glass of water. And that's the dose that they need. So if you're not working with a practitioner who understands that, you could be like, oh, amino acids are bad for me. And they're not. We just have to figure out what dose, you need. And, if you're a practitioner out there, like, oh gosh, I would love to learn this, but that just sounds complicated. That's why I created Mind Thrive that Dr. Chris is in, is one of my students and has been for like 5 years. And so
Yep.
we just have a great time in there and we learn all these nuances and we go through the trialing process together. We talk about clients and, all those kind of things because it is, you just have to kind of just go with the flow with people with the amino acids because you can't hurt people with the amino acids. The only thing you have to do is just navigate a few different medications if they're on them. And that's super simple to do. But it's just pieces of protein. That's all it
Yep.
is. It's just food for the body, food for the brain.
I want to share with you two experiences. One experience is if a patient listening to the marketing for amino acids, and the other one is a recommendation from another doctor. So it's not uncommon, and I know you know this too, for these amino acids to be marketed in a very specific way, right? So
Correct.
tyrosine gets marketed as, what do you see more of?
For ADD, ADHD.
ADD, ADHD, right?
Yeah.
But in your experience, Lori, and in mine, so this is a leading question, that's not always the case.
No, not at all.
No. So these companies are marketing to very specific symptoms because maybe that's like 50 to 80% of people with ADHD will respond positively to tryptophan, but that doesn't mean that that's you. And it doesn't mean that that's the only one you need for the ADD ADHD, right?
Right.
So you can't just go off what you read and what you learned in a webinar or what they're marketing to you, because that's how, maybe not Laurie, but that's kind of like how I started. And you very quickly realize that there's so many gaps, there's so many holes in those, in that kind of marketing, that you can't just rely on one supplement to take care of everything for you. This is not a magic pill thing. It's you're deficient and we need to restore those deficiencies. And very rarely is it just one thing that somebody's deficient in,
Right.
with those kind of symptoms. And then the other experience I had was I was going to trial a client and they had another functional doc. And the week before we were going to trial, they came to an appointment and said, my based on my questionnaire, my practitioner put me on 2,000 milligrams of DPA.
Hmm.
Didn't trial her, sold her the supplements, had never taken DPA in her life.
Yeah.
And so she'd come in before taking it. And I said, you know what? We're going to trial you next week, but let's just sit down and trial you right now for DPA just to make sure.
Right.
And sure enough, I mean, I gave her a quarter of what was recommended to her.
Right.
And she got a headache and she just got super angry all of a sudden. And she's like, I do not like the way I feel. And I was like, great, try to return that because you bought it from it. Go return that.
Right.
And so we found the amino acids through the trialing that she would respond to and that she did respond to. And that is the reality that most practitioners are in. They know amino acids can help.
Yep.
They don't have the training to no fault of their own, and they're trying to help. And so they look at the studies and they look at the marketing and they look at all the things that you look at and they think, oh, this will probably help.
Yeah.
And the trialing just gets rid of the probably.
Yeah, it does. Isn't that beautiful? As a practitioner, like we don't have to think, we just don't have to guess anymore. Like this is what's going to help them. It's
This
beautiful.
is way better than any test we could ever do.
Yeah.
This is way better than anything. We've got the questionnaire to help us understand you better, to
Hmm.
understand your life better. I always tell people the more information you give me, the faster I get to catch up to where you're at because
Yeah.
I don't know anything about you until you share it with me. And so it's such a great experience for the practitioner because it's easy.
Yeah.
It's such a great experience for the patient or the client because you get to feel the results, and there's nothing better than feeling
Hmm.
results.
Hmm.
You know, Mm,
Like in
yeah,
that appointment, which is so fun. Like you don't have to wait 6 weeks for something like, oh, I think I'm feeling the effects of, these digestive enzymes right now. So yeah, I think they're working. Yeah.
yeah. So Laurie, after somebody goes through, right? So after somebody goes through this trial, this is the starting point of their protocol.
Yeah. Total starting
So-
point. Because then we know what amino acids you're going to respond to and what doses we're going to start. And then we are going to meet, every 7 to 14 days, depending on what's going on. And we're going to adjust those amino acids. So you might need more, you might need less. We may add, we may subtract, just depends on how we are responding. And I use that same questionnaire rated on a scale of 1 to 10. Like, how are you doing? And if we're not down to twos or less, we know that there's still something going on in that area.
which is probably strange for people. Like if you're just sitting there listening to this and I say, hey, on a scale of 0 to 10, what would you rate your anxiety? And you're like, oh, it's like an 8 or 9. Like Lori's serious when she says it's realistic for that number to get down to a 0, 1, or 2 in like
Yeah.
2 weeks.
Yeah.
It's that is a very realistic thing to experience with amino acid therapy after you trial.
Yeah. All the
Yeah.
time. I see it all the time.
And and the goal, what I love about creating the protocol for people is that the goal is to get rid of this.
Yeah. The
This
ups
is
and the
not
downs.
this is
Yeah.
your day, and we're looking for your day to just be
Yeah.
steady Eddie. I
Yeah.
feel good all day long. I can handle life again. And there's no more ups and downs, right?
Yeah. Yeah. And that's why the trialing is so beautiful because one, you know what you're responding to. And then we as practitioners know what you're responding to. And we've got this beautiful jumping point. So
Hmm.
there, we don't have to wait for, lab tests to come in and, we don't have to spend $2,500, $3,000 in lab tests to get your anxiety down.
Yeah.
So it's a beautiful process.
And I would say my experience has been it does take people about 30 days to get to their optimal dose,
Yeah,
right?
definitely.
Because the trial helps us at a starting point, and then through just you doing the protocol and tracking your progress, we're able to add things, eliminate things, make some movement to get to the protocol where you're like, you know what? I feel pretty good. I feel pretty stable. We've got those 0, 1s, and 2s. And then what I've observed is that as you spend the next couple months reducing inflammation, healing your gut, um, helping your body detox those hidden infections, that's when you're able to start to not need the aminos as much.
Exactly. Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the goal
Um,
is not to be on a ton of medication, ton of supplements, ton of amino acids, whatever it might be that you're on. That's never the goal. I don't plan to make my living selling you thousands thousands of pills a year. That's not the goal. The goal is that we get you feeling really good so that you just use them as tools when your body feels deficient. That's all.
I've been sick in my life, and I've been very sick a couple times in my life, and there's nothing worse than opening up your medicine cabinet or supplement cabinet, and it's just being overflowing with supplements because you've tried so many things. And the reality is I've tried just about everything because one, I've been sick, and two, there aren't a lot of answers out there, and so you kind of have to do your own research and figure it out. Even as a doctor, you have to do that.
Right.
And so it's nice to be in a place, it's frustrating to be in a place where you have all these supplements and you're tied to them. It's nice when you're able to take all those supplements, put it in a box, and either pack them away and put them somewhere or just toss them in the garbage and say, I don't need you anymore. You're
Right.
not keeping me happy and alive. My body is
Yeah.
doing it on its own.
Yeah. It's beautiful. God designed our bodies to heal. What if we remove the interference and fix the deficiencies? Give it what
Yep.
it needs. Yep.
Yes.
Awesome. Well, thank you, Dr. Chris, for being on today. Hope you all
Yep.
enjoyed this. And God bless each and every one of you. And I'll see you in the next episode.
Bye.
Thanks for listening to Take Back My Brain. If today's episode helped you connect with hope or direction, I want you to follow the show, leave us a review, and share it with someone who needs it. And if you're ready to start your own healing journey, explore our courses and our coaching programs at lauriehammer.com/store. So until next time, remember, you cannot medicate away a nutrient deficiency, and healing your brain isn't just possible, it's powerful.